Hello student, this is Pankaj Kumar, your chemistry teacher. Today we will sum up the chapter number first, solid states. What do you mean by solids? Solid is a state of matter in which the constituent particles are arranged very closely. The constituent particles can be atoms, molecules or ions. That means solids are rigid and have definite shapes and mass. Their volumes are also definite and the intermolecular space in solids are very less. Now, classification of solids. On the basis of arrangement of constituent particles, solids can be classified into two categories. The first one is the crystalline solids and the second one is the amorphous solids. What is crystalline solids? Crystalline solids are those in which the arrangement of the constituent particle is long range order. That means they have sharp melting point and have definite geometrical shape. Whereas the amorphous solids are those in which the arrangement of the constituent particles is very short range order. That means they have indefinite melting point and irregular shape. Sodium chloride is the best example of crystalline solids, whereas the glass is the best example of amorphous solids. Now, next topic is types of crystalline solids. There are four types of the crystalline solid. The first one is the metallic solids, second is ionic solid, third is molecular solids, and fourth one is covalent solids. Metallic solids are those in which the constituent particles are atoms or metals. Ionic solids are those in which the constituent particles are ions. Molecular solids are those in which the constituent particles are molecules, and covalent solids are those in which the constituent particles are atoms. The example of metallic solids is copper, silver. Example of ionic solids is sodium chloride and zinc sulfide. Example of molecular solids is water, ammonia, and example of covalent solids is diamond. Now our next topic is crystal lattice. Then what do you mean by crystal lattice? A regular ordered arrangement of constituent particles in three dimensions is called crystal lattice. That means a crystal lattice is a three-dimensional pattern of points that describes the arrangement of constituent particles which may be atoms, ions or molecules in a crystal. Now what is unit cell? It is defined as the smallest repeating unit in space lattice which when repeated over and over again generates the complete crystal lattice. The crystal can consist of an infinite number of unit cells. That means a unit cell is the smallest repeating unit in the crystal lattice which when repeated again and again in different directions results in the large crystal lattice of a given substance. There are 7 types of the crystal systems. The first one is cubic, second is tetragonal, third is monoclinic, fourth is hexagonal, fifth is trigonal, sixth one is rhombohedral or trigonal, and seventh is triclinic. So what is the cubic crystal system? In cubic crystal system, the axial distance are equal. That means A equal to B equal to C. In tetragonal, the axial distance are A equal to B is not equal to C. In monoclinic, the axial distances are A is not equal to B is not equal to C. In hexagonal, the axial distances are A equal to B is not equal to C. In orthorhombic, axial distances are A is not equal to B is not equal to C. In trigonal system, axial distances are A equal to B equal to C. And in triclinic system, the axial distances are A is not equal to B is not equal to C. Now next topic is types of unit cells. There are two types of unit cells. The first one is primitive or simple unit cell, and second is centered unit cell. Primitive unit cells have constituent particles only at its corner. That means when constituent particles are present only on the corner position of a unit cell, it is called primitive unit cell. It is also called simple unit cell. Whereas the centered unit cells are those unit cells in which one or more constituent particles are present at position in addition to those present at the corners. That means when a unit cell contains one or more constituent particles present at positions other than corner in addition to those at corners, it is called a centered unit cell. Types of centered unit cell. There are three types of centered unit cell. First is face-centered unit cell, second is body-centered unit cell, and third is end-centered unit cell. Now what is face-centered unit cell? It consists of one constituent particles present at the center of each face in addition to those present at the corner. That means such a unit cell contains one constituent particle at the center of each face besides the ones that are at its corner. Now, what do you mean by body-centered unit cell? It consists of a one constituent particle is present at its body centered in addition to those present at the corner. That means such a unit cell which contains one constituent particle at its body center besides the one that at its corner. Now what do you mean by end-centered unit cell? It consists of one constituent particle present at the center of any two opposite faces in addition to those present at the corner. That means such a unit cell in which one constituent particle is present at the center of any two opposite faces besides the ones present at its corners. Now our next topic is number of atoms in different unit cell. In primitive unit cell, it have one atom. Face-centered unit cell have 3 atoms and body-centered unit cell have 2 atoms. Now, what do you mean by packing efficiency? It is the percentage of total space occupied by constituent particles. That means atoms, molecules or ions. That means packing efficiency is the percentage of total space which is occupied by the constituent particle. What is the formula of packing efficiency? Packing efficiency equal to volume occupied by sphere divided by total volume of unit cell into 100. Packing efficiency for face-centered unit cell is equal to 74%. Packing efficiency for body-centered cubic unit cell is equal to 68%, and packing efficiency for simple cubic unit cell is equal to 52.4%. Now next topic is types of defects. There are two types of defects. The first one is the point defects. Point defects are the irregularities or deviation from ideal arrangement around a point or an atom in crystalline substance. That means when deviation are produced from regular arranged geometrical structure of atom in crystalline substance, then such defects are called atomic or point defects. Now second defect is the line defect. Line defects are the irregularities or deviation from the ideal arrangement in entire rows of lattice point. Classification of solids based on their electrical conductivity. On the basis of the electrical conductivity, solids can be classified in three categories. The first one is conductor, second is insulator, and third one is semiconductor. There are the two types of the bands. The first one is the valence band and the second is the conduction band. This is also known as the band theory of solid. What is conduction band? Outermost field energy band is called valence band, and the next empty band in which the electron flow is called conduction band. That means valence band are filled band and conduction bands are empty bands. According to the band theory of solids, in conductors, the energy gap between the conduction band and valence band is negligible, whereas in insulator, the band gap or energy gap between the conduction band and valence band is very large. That's why electron cannot jump from valence band to conduction band. In case of semiconductor, the energy gap between valence band and conduction band lies between the insulator and conductor. Now types of semiconductors. There are two types of semiconductor: intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors. These are those semiconductors in which the forbidden gap is small. Only some electrons may jump to conduction band and show some conductivity. They have very low electrical conductivity. Means intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors. They are free from impurity, that means undoped semiconductor. Their electrical conductivity is too low. Example of intrinsic semiconductors are silicon and germanium. Now second semiconductor is extrinsic semiconductor. When an appropriate impurity is added to an intrinsic semiconductor, it is called extrinsic semiconductors. Their electrical conductivity is very high. That means extrinsic semiconductors are impure semiconductors and they are obtained by adding suitable impurity in intrinsic semiconductors. Their conductivity is very high. Extrinsic semiconductors are of two types. First one is the N-type semiconductor and second one is P-type semiconductors. Now what is N-type semiconductors? They are formed when silicon is doped with the electron-rich impurities like group 15 elements. The increase in conductivity is due to the negatively charged electron. These are also known as electron-rich impurities. That means when silicon is doped with group 15 elements like phosphorus, arsenic, which contain 5 valence electron, they occupy some of the lattice site in silicon or germanium crystal. 4 out of 5 are used in the formation of 4 covalent bonds with the 4 neighbors of the silicon atoms, whereas the 5th electron is extra and become delocalized. This delocalized electron increases the conductivity of doped silicon or germanium. Now what is P-type semiconductor? They are formed when silicon is doped with electron deficient impurity like group 13 elements. The increasing conductivity is due to the positively charged hole. That means silicon and germanium can also be doped with group 13 elements like boron, aluminium or gallium, which contains only 3 valence electron. The place where the 4th valence electron is missing is called electron hole or electron vacancy. An electron from a neighboring atom can come and fill the electron hole, but in doing, it would leave an electron hole at its original position. Under the influence of electric field, electron would move towards the positive charged plate through electronic holes, but it would appear as electron holes are positively charged and are negatively charged plate. Hence, silicon doped with electron deficient impurity is called P-type semiconductor. Now next topic is classification of substance based on their magnetic properties. On the basis of the magnetic properties, solids can be classified into 5 categories: paramagnetic substance, diamagnetic substance, ferromagnetic substance, antiferromagnetic substance and ferrimagnetic substance. Now what do we mean by paramagnetic substance? These are those substances which are weakly attracted by magnetic field. It is due to the presence of one or more unpaired electron. The example of paramagnetic substances are oxygen, Cu2 plus ion, Fe3 plus ion. Paramagnetic substance can lose their magnetism in the absence of magnetic field. Now second is diamagnetic substances. Diamagnetic substances are weakly repelled by magnetic field. Diamagnetism is shown by those substances in which all the electrons are paired and there are no unpaired electrons. That means dimagnetism are shown by those substances in which all the electrons are paired and there are no unpaired electron. Pairing of electron cancels their magnetic moment and they lose their magnetic character. Example of dimagnetic substance are benzene. Now third is the ferromagnetism substance. These are those substances which are attracted very strongly by a magnetic field. That means those substances which are strongly attracted by a magnetic field are called ferromagnetic substance. Besides strong attraction, these substances can be permanently magnetized. Example of ferromagnetic substances are iron, cobalt, nickel. In case of ferromagnetic substances, the dipole momentum is maximum. Now fourth one is antiferromagnetic substances. They have equal numbers of parallel and anti-parallel magnetic dipoles resulting in a zero net dipole moment. That means substances showing antiferromagnetism have domain structure similar to the ferromagnetic substance, but their domains are oppositely oriented and cancel out each other's magnetic moment. That means in case of antiferromagnetism, dipole moment is equal to 0. The examples of antiferromagnetic substances are manganese oxide, iron oxide. Now last one is the ferrimagnetic substances. They have unequal numbers of parallel and anti-parallel magnetic dipoles resulting in an at dipole moment. It means ferrimagnetism is observed when the magnetic moment of domain in substances are aligned in parallel and anti-parallel direction in unequal numbers. They are weakly attracted by magnetic field as compared to ferromagnetic substances. That means in case of ferrimagnetism, dipole moment is not equal to 0 and dipole moment of ferrimagnetism is always less than that of the dipole moment of ferromagnetism. The example of ferrimagnetism is magnetite. Thank you.